and back to the squad. Amrabat potentially getting his first start. But the big news, the main news, which we don't really want it to be really, because it's quite shit, to be honest. It is first thing in the morning. It's this Jadon Sancho stuff. Apparently, Jadon Sancho has been banished by the squad, can't use first team facilities, he's been exiled from the squad. He's still refusing to say sorry. And it's reaching a point of no return, it seems like. But Owen, what is the latest and where did the reports come from? What's been happening? Where are we at?
Yeah, so it was quite an interesting one, actually, quite late last night. So it comes from the Mirror. So, take it with a pinch of salt, take it for what you will. And they labeled it as an exclusive, but it must be said, I think it was kind of known anyway. It was an exclusive, I guess, with some certain details, but nevertheless, it's quite a big story. So it comes from David McDonald from the Mirror, who said that Jadon Sancho has been exiled from all first-team facilities at Manchester United, including the team dining room. Sancho has been training with United's academy players since accusing Erik ten Hag of lying over the reason for his omission from the squad for a 3-1 defeat at Arsenal on September 3rd. After ten Hag said Sancho had been left out of the squad for poor training performances, Sancho took to social media to contradict his manager in a direct challenge to his authority. Ten Hag responded by exiling Sancho from training, but it can now be revealed that the 23-year-old winger has been barred from using all first-team facilities at United's training base. That includes the state-of-the-art dining facilities used by the first-team players, with Sancho forced to eat alongside academy players following his spectacular falling out with the manager. Sancho is said to be unhappy. He has been forbidden from accessing all first-team areas, but is refusing to apologize to Erik ten Hag despite having deleted the controversial social media post. United sources have admitted the situation between Sancho and ten Hag has reached a, quote, impasse with no way back for the player until he decides to apologize to his boss. Sancho, and this is what I've kind of been saying recently as well, it's not just the Arsenal posts, not just the Arsenal thing. Sancho is also understood to have been late for training on several occasions, according to club sources, with the player's social media post proving to be the last straw for Erik ten Hag. Despite the right-wing position at United being up for grabs, with Antony currently on a leave of absence, whilst he's obviously dealing with his situation, Mason Greenwood out on loan, not going to return to the club, Sancho remains out in the cold because of his unwillingness to back down from his argument with Erik ten Hag. A United source, according to the Mirror, has said, there is an easy way to resolve this situation, which is for Jadon to say sorry to the manager. Something has to give, and it won't be the manager, end quote. It's also been suggested that senior players in the team, such as Marcus Rashford, Harry Maguire, etc., have all kind of begged Sancho to apologise, swallow his pride, and just say, I'm sorry, and move on. But he's unwilling to do so and believes he's right in his opinion. It's also been reported by other people like TalkSport that United are ready and willing to listen to offers for Jadon Sancho when the transfer window reopens in January. The likes of Borussia Dortmund, Roma, and others have been linked to signing the right winger. So, as I mentioned, Flex, it's not really... when they said exclusive, maybe there's some little details in there that maybe we didn't know about. I mean, he's been fully banished. We kind of knew anyway that he had been really put to one side. What are your thoughts on this at this point as it moves on? I mean, to be fair, to add a little bit of context to this one, there were rumors. I didn't really see the papers or the journalists run with this yesterday. Social media chatter that he may have been late to training yesterday or something like that. There was the screenshots on social media, wasn't there, of him playing what's it called, EAFC until the early hours of the morning prior to that as well. How real that is, I don't know. All of it, though, is a giant mess, I think it's probably fair to say.
Yeah, just really quickly before we go into that, apology. I think the stream just started. I don't think there was any intro or anything. I've just rewound
I
it.
know. I noticed at the beginning, basically, we appeared, but I didn't think they missed any information. That's the important thing.
Yeah, they didn't. So, but I did say good morning. I did say how you were doing. Yeah. I did say smash the like on the video. I was talking about how our Carabao Cup defense starts now. I think you missed all of that. But,
do you know what it is as well, actually? Because sometimes we'll press, and I've explained this to some people in the comments, but sometimes we'll press live and there'll be like a thing for 10 seconds. And sometimes people go, why are you waiting 10, 15 seconds at the start? It's unacceptable. And the problem is, it's because sometimes that happens. So sometimes you have to wait,
Yeah. I think we'll have
YouTube's
to go back
to
the 10, 15 seconds. Yeah, YouTube just bugging out a little bit. But apologies. Don't think that we would just jump straight in without saying good morning to you guys and hello. And that is not our style. Yeah. But you did. I know for a fact you just heard everything basically Owen just said regarding this Jadon Sancho situation. And again, there's always going to be a little bit of the papers and the media adding more, because we're at the point now where if you hear something now that's written, on top of what is the factual situation, which he isn't part of the squad, and Erik ten Hag has obviously put him out, and there's friction there. You can add more things in now. You know what I mean? We're in that spot now where the media, journalists, etc., reporters can add more things in. That will sound completely and totally believable, and make it sound worse. So there's probably some truth in there as well. I don't know exactly the bits that are true. When it's like he can't even have dinner in the dining room with the first team if he's not training with them and stuff, and he's been put with the youth team. That probably is true, in my opinion. I reckon that probably is like that. We're now into the situation where I know I said he shouldn't have started against Brighton, but if everything was going how I thought it could have, which is just, you can apologize, you do need to be fined your wages, and you can miss Brighton, then we can move on. In my opinion, we would have been in a situation now, having played Bayern and Burnley, where he would have been back by now if this was able to be sorted. If he was training properly, if he was had done the things that Erik ten Hag had wanted him to do, there would have been a resolution by now. It's been long enough. This was the day after. This was the eve of the loss to Arsenal. That was ages ago now. So this is definitely happening, and I just think there is no way back. It's over. It's the longer this goes on, which already it's gone on too long. And already it's gone from you just haven't trained well, so you need to get back in and training and show me you're serious and you're ready, through to no, you haven't said sorry. We're not moving past this. You know what? Sod this then. I don't want to see you. Go away. And I just think that in January he'll just leave. It's a really sad situation. And I know some people will say it's not sad because Sancho hasn't lived up to it. So it's like, do we miss him anyway? I don't mean from that. I mean from what Sancho was supposed to be, what Jadon was supposed to bring us, what we thought we were getting, how we thought he would develop as one of the best young wingers in the world, right? To how it's played out. Another high-profile signing is going to come to nothing. And he's a young guy who I believe has got bags of talent. And it's sad that it's gone this way in his Man United career, whether that's through him deliberately making bad decisions because of, advice given to him or his stance, whether that's because unfortunate things happened behind the scenes that he just couldn't move past because there's things we don't know about, and he couldn't move past it, or the third, he just cocked it up himself just through crap attitude, rubbish application, didn't believe that he could get through it, and didn't show enough. So guys, some of the comments are super strong here as well. Just watch your language in there, but I get some people are annoyed. But yeah, it's a massive shame. It's a massive shame, because this was a player, like I said, we tracked for 2 years. He was supposed to be the answer to the right-hand side. We then get Ollie coming out last week and saying, did buy him for the right, but no, he wanted to play on the left anyway. So that just shows you about Man United in general and the decisions made. But it just never truly worked out for Jadon Sancho. And my thing is that it's over. There's no coming back from this, in my opinion.
Yeah, he won't play for United again.
He's done.
I think.
No.
I think that I mentioned this the other day, and it's not going to go this way. But even if something catastrophic happened when it came to Erik ten Hag's future at United, and it got really, really bad, and sometimes players wait out for the manager to go. It gets like a standoff, and they go, "Well, I'll last before you go."
Yeah, not this time, mate.
And I don't think that's going to happen this time around. And I think also as well, even if that were to happen, I think any United manager coming in would be like, "Man, I know everyone gets a clean slate, but I mean, this is ugly. This is really ugly with what's happened. And it doesn't. I've said this quite a few times, and I know people don't like to hear it, which I find kind of baffling, to be honest with you, because I cannot believe that we are in a day and age again at Manchester United where some people are like, player over the manager. Sancho, he's a baller and he's been disrespected. Because to me, we don't see what goes on behind closed doors, and you have to try and keep an open mind, and you have to try and have a look at all of the information out there and then come to a conclusion yourself. First of all, like I said, with all of this, I do not understand what Jadon Sancho is trying to achieve other than leaving. because that's the only thing that he can possibly be looking for at this point. If he thinks that there's any future for him at United, clearly there isn't, and he must know that at this point. Maybe he just goes, this is my hill to die on, essentially, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. It's what my Man United career is going to die on, this hill, essentially. But I don't. I saw some of the reaction to this story last night, and some people were saying that this is too far by Erik ten Hag. This is way too far for him to banish him to the academy facilities, or to banish him, or all that kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, I don't think necessarily it is. And I think people need to stop looking at this like this is this big unprecedented situation in football, because it's not. I mean, you look at a lot of these top clubs, they've had these issues. I mean, whether it's, Arteta with Aubameyang, whether it's, Pep with Cancelo, whether it's, you could look at De Zerbi with people like Trossard, or people like even Caicedo. I've already forgotten about him. All this kind of stuff. I mean, unfortunately,
it happens a lot in football,
particularly in modern football, and also in the past, but particularly in modern football, where like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in his interview, and I do agree with him when it comes to that as well, because it's the disease of modern football, which is there are people in people's ears, whether it's agents, whether it's family members, whether it's teammates. Hey, I wouldn't take that if I were you, mate. Oh, I can't believe he said that. Oh, all this kind of stuff. And for me, it's been so blown out of proportion, Erik ten Hag's initial comments, that people have got it in their heads that Erik ten Hag in that post-Arsenal press conference, slandered Jadon Sancho and said that he was, he's the lazy so-and-so, he's this, he's that, and the other. He just said I'd pick people based off what happens in training. That's all he said. And I think people miss the context of this entire situation as well, is that it's not just about that week. A situation wouldn't blow up this big based on 1 week of being omitted from one squad. Clearly, this is a thing. This is a story that almost probably predates Erik ten Hag's tenure at Manchester United as well. And particularly throughout his entire time here, now over a year, this has been something that's going on over and over and over again. Like the report says about, lateness to training, or whether it be lateness to team meetings, or just professionalism, attitude, what have you. And then there's a flashpoint, which is, him coming out on social media and saying this, and Ten Hag's gone, this is ridiculous. I feel like this has been an ongoing thing. This is the final straw. You're going to apologize? No. All right, then you're with the academy. And if you've put it this way, if you've got someone who isn't playing for disciplinary reasons because they've fallen out with the manager, why would they be mingling with the first team squad? Because that's a negative influence. Whether you agree with Jadon Sancho or Erik ten Hag or not, that's just not good for the team, is it? Unfortunately, it is a situation where it's out of sight, out of mind, because they need to focus. Because that's not a sustainable situation, is it? For him to be,
problem is, Owen,
with everyone and all that.
No, he doesn't want to. Sancho doesn't want to get integrated back into this team, is how I see it. From, with everything that's gone on, with the belief that he has on his side, he's made up his mind and he's sticking to his guns. He's saying, I ain't buckling or I ain't backing down, and I haven't done anything wrong. But he's taken the post down. So why have you taken?
It's bizarre.
If you've taken the post down, what's the point in half? What I don't understand is if you've taken that post down, you may as well just put it back up. You might as well just put it back up now, because you're not sorry. You don't want to be sorry, or you don't want to do the things that you need to do that respects the squad and respects the manager. Instead, what we're seeing is, you being not too discreet about stuff in not reading the room. I am the first person, or I will be one of the first in the room to defend players' lifestyles, right? Because you talk about the modern day game, and old school fans and old school players and, pundits and stuff, ex-players, whatever, will always say, I'm not a fan of, being seen out at a restaurant, back in my day, we wouldn't be out wearing chains, going to a party. And back in my day, I wouldn't be, I remember when Dele Alli drove into Everton in a Bentley or a Rolls Royce. It was a Rolls Royce. And I think Alan Brazil on Talksport, it was his old school. I don't know, he's driving in that flash car. He hasn't been playing good for so long. They're all millionaires, mate. What do you want to do? Come in a Corsa? Like,
I was going to say.
Like, do you know what I mean? So exactly. Vauxhall Nova. Like, so I'm the first to kind of come to the defense of like the modern day game of how players are to a certain extent. But there is a side that you have to read the room. Like, you're in hot water. Why is there pictures of you chilling in New York? Even if you went there, why is there not a video of you getting it in, flipping one single training, sweating your ass off? If you're going to put a video up or picture up, put that up. Or if you're going to be seen out in public, let it be that. You know, obviously the thing about the FIFA thing or the EAFC, I don't know. Someone could just doctor that, or I don't know if it's definitely true in it. I don't know, but again, it's like I don't understand why the reaction isn't there to make this change. It doesn't seem like that happened. It feels like he just wants out. And if it is September now, let's call it basically October, there's 3 months left until the window opens. Let's be honest, in 3 months, is Sancho now, having not trained at the correct level and with the right bloody team, is he gonna train hard enough to get back into that fold, undo the damage done with Eric Ten Hag, and get fit enough to start performing again for us and then starting games? No chance. No chance.
And also, as I've said, it doesn't matter whether Jadon Sancho realistically is in the right or wrong in this one, because he doesn't pick the team. And this is my point of, I'm not sure what Sancho is trying to achieve other apart from leave Manchester United, because it's not a fight that he's going to win. And frankly, it shouldn't be a fight that he wins anyway. It's not like if Jadon Sancho was like, Kylian Mbappe, and he's our best player, he's been our best player since he arrived, and you would go, well, there's an issue here. But the fact that his form hasn't been great since he came in, hasn't lived up to expectations. Well, for whatever reason, if that's his fault or not, let's park that to one side. But he can't win this situation because the manager has to win. Because the moment that a player, issue and happens and the player wins that fight, then we get ourselves into the position that we're in before. And as I've mentioned, I'm sure that there are elements to Jadon Sancho's gripes that are perfectly valid. I mean, when he talks about favoritism, or he talks about certain players getting preferential treatment, or you criticize me, then you more than criticize others.
This ain't how you respond to it.
No, it's not. It's not. And I've seen some of the response be, you can't make someone apologize if they don't mean it. Of course you can. Everyone's done that in their life. Everyone's done that in work. If you've disrespected your superior, your boss, and they say apologize, if you want to keep your job, you say sorry, even if you don't mean it.
And if you don't want to keep your job, you don't, and then you leave.
And then you leave.
What's going to happen?
You get escorted from the building. They go, right, security, come in, right, say goodbye to everyone. You get your stuff in a box and you leave. That's how the world works. It's not about football. That's how life works. So, and you don't have a situation, unless there's something grossly wrong has happened, whereby your superior boss goes, you apologize, and you go, no, and then the boss leaves, and the boss is then carrying the cardboard box. How does that happen? It doesn't. So, again, Sancho might have things that he feels, justified about. And there might be things that he goes, oh, yeah, I feel like I'm right on that situation. And everyone's got a right to, do what they want to do. But in this situation, he can't win. And he might say, I don't feel I have a need to apologize for. But again, that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because if the manager feels that you should apologize, then that's what you have to do. And people can say, that's very authoritarian. It's like a dictatorship. Our footballing history is based off an authoritarian manager in Sir Alex Ferguson, who was the buck stopped with him. If he asked you to apologize, you said you're sorry, and people then
if you didn't, you were gone.
And then people go, yeah, but Sir Alex Ferguson used to win titles, and Eric Ten Hag, he hasn't won titles, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's never going to win titles if he can't get a grip on the locker room. He's never going to win titles if he's got players stepping out and he can't get them back in line. It's about those standards. Like Ten Hag said in that press conference, he said the club brought me in to set standards. That's what I'm trying to do. And standards doesn't mean it's always going to be good. Sir Alex Ferguson had people step out on him and they went, or they either resolved it, apologized, carry on, or they went. And everything like this is a test. And so those people that point out, they go, oh, Eric Ten Hag's fallen out of a few players here at United. As I mentioned earlier on, that happens. Like that will happen in football, particularly nowadays. And do we want to be that fan base that, backs players over the club? And I know sometimes this club, well, it's very difficult to back sometimes, isn't it? Particularly with a lot of stuff that goes on. But we've sat on these shows, haven't we, Flex? We've done this. We've done this over and over and over again. And the boss is the boss. The manager is the manager. He picks the team. That's how it works. Players don't pick the team.
It's as simple as that. Some super chats here. Matt says, I love what Ten Hag is doing at Man United. No player is bigger than the club. All Elite says 100% behind Eric Ten Hag on this one. Standards have slipped. Aminor says, when Flex is late, banish him to Alice Talks Football.
Why is Alice taking a side swipe?
I don't know why. I don't know. We have
Alice
to get
is
Alice
killing
Talks
it.
Football. We
need
have
to
to
get
get
her
her
on
on this channel.
Yeah.
Because she always comes up, but in the wrong way. I think she deserves
Get her on for a full view. I tell you what, go follow her on Twitter because her Twitter long posts are really, really good. I don't know if you've seen them, Flex. They're really long ones. They do really well. Yeah,
she's
big up
been
to
going
Alice.
in. Matt says, I'm 100% with Eric Ten Hag. Come on, guys. Let's back our manager. Save the Jungle says the club lacks leadership. Someone above them should sort out the stalemate. I think they have, though. They have.
Yeah.
They've gone, well, we're backing the manager. I think they've gone in there and said, what's happening here, Eric? And he's gone, I'm telling you now, he won't. I'm telling you now, John.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm telling you now, Richard. I'm telling you now, John. He will never play for me again unless he says sorry. There or thereabouts. And they're like, you know what? There are legalities around this, but for now, until the window, I think this is heading exactly like the Aubameyang situation. You know what I mean? Because he did the same thing. He wasn't with the squad, and then it got to the January window in the documentary. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's the perfect example. Maybe a little bit different because Aubameyang didn't publicly do something like that, but there was clearly things going on behind the scenes where Arteta went, no, not on your Nelly, mate. He's not coming back. He's done. So the club got to January, and that's why they were frantically working out what to do in the dying hours of the window to get him a loan to Barcelona, because that was a bit where it was like, we do actually have to get a resolution here because you can't just keep him in the reserves like that. Like, you've done it for a certain amount of time now, but I think that time's run out. So there are technicalities, but the club have, I think they have come in to try and sort this stalemate out, and they're backing a manager on this, and I think he'll get to January and then move him on. Lil Yo-Yo says, I remember backing Sancho at Old Trafford. The whole row said he ain't it. Regardless of his opinion, he acted all wrong. I'm ashamed I backed him. They are right. Look, listen, you shouldn't be ashamed you backed someone. No. Like, we should be backing our players, and we want to back our players, for as long as we can. But when you're presented with new stuff like this, what left can you do, bro? Like, I would love for this to be a whole big U-turn. I would love to get breaking news with the siren with what's his name? Ornstein. Yeah. And him saying exclusive, big steps have been made, in the relationship between Eric Ten Hag and Sancho. Both are now aligned for his return. He's, I want to see that, but doesn't look like we are.
Even if it got to that point, I'd still be like, and I don't think it will, but I'd still be like, I don't
ain't gonna work.
Yeah, exactly. Long term, you go, he come back from that.
He's never gonna do it. But if you could write a script of what could happen now, we would all want this to be reversed and him to be the best winger in the
it's like to me, it's similar to the Ronaldo situation towards the end. Like, for instance, where when he was asked to come on as a sub, I think that was the Spurs one, wasn't it? And he was asked to come on, it was like 5 minutes left, and he said no. And the reaction's the same as it was then, which is, it doesn't matter who you are. If a manager asks you to do something, you do it. Like, it doesn't matter 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, it's very simple.
Duma says, if your manager calls out your work ethic, you have to respond by looking to improve. How can we ever be better at our jobs if we always feel attacked? If your manager, you have to respond by looking to improve. How can we ever be better at our jobs if we always feel attacked? If your manager does call out your work ethic, you do have to respond by looking to improve. But I think you're also saying that because Jadon Sancho feels attacked, how could he do better?
Well, I think it would be a case of, I think, if he doesn't like that, what Ten Hag is saying or Ten Hag's criticism of him or what have you, then clearly working under Ten Hag's not the right thing for you.
Yeah, he's not the right wrong manager, wrong time. But also, it wasn't great before Ten Hag got here, was it? No. Obviously, it wasn't great with any of our players, to be fair. That's unfair to just label that on Sancho. But I'm just saying that would mean his whole time here, even under the new guy where other people have improved. Rashford, even though he's going through it now and not playing well, had his best ever season. Wan-Bissaka responded. Luke Shaw responded. Bruno settled down, responded. Everybody managed to respond. But then you had to come out the squad.
And also as well, let's not make any mistake. If we had a really good start to the season, more people would be on Ten Hag's side. I think at this one, I think the majority are on his side. But if we'd won the majority of our games, people would be like, good. I think it's part of it is also the results, isn't it? They go, oh, you know,
exactly. It's not all aligned. Ahmed says, I'm sure Sancho is a nice guy, but no club wants a crybaby and a lazy one at that. No club is going to buy him for a decent price. Well, his reputation is getting tarnished by this happening, of course. The value is depreciating by the day, to be honest.
We won't get what we got for him. So
nowhere near. We wouldn't have got that even if he bloody was in the squad, just playing. Maxwell says, Flex, when I met you at Old Trafford versus Lens, remember I told you I was not sure about Jadon for what he has been since he came to Old Trafford, not showing heart, not working hard. He's let me see that he is believing his own hype. Wan-Bissaka worked to get back, and that is a classic one there. Wan-Bissaka literally went through it up until the World Cup. Dalla got injured. He was ready, man. To the point where he's injured now. We're like, flipping it. When's he coming back? Fem says, I back Sancho 100%, even if we sell him in January. Eric Ten Hag is a fraud, a flip-flop and a liar. Eric Ten Hag's
a lair,
yeah. Eric Ten Hag's methods will bite us in the arse. It started last season, so Fems is backing Sancho in this situation. Harold says, so Fleck, you are saying Eric Ten Hag is copying Arteta. That's how Robbie would probably being a manager. Basically, Arteta invented being a manager and sorting out situations. He is the first person, the first manager
ever
to manage players. And, since football's inception, he was the first ever manager. So that he's written.
Arteta fell out with players first. He was the first. He was the first to fall out with players.
He learned it off Pep.
Yeah.
Zaki says, on the good side, if we do sell Sancho in January, maybe we'll actually have money to sign a player in the January window, unlike all the past ones. Yeah, that's true. If we can even sell him, because they have to get him out, it might even be a loan with an option to buy at the end of the season. It might not even be someone coming in with 55 million, because what would you want for Sancho considering all this shit's happened? I want at least 50.
Yeah, the rumor in the sun, wasn't it, that if it was around 50, United, I think people forget this too. United were open reportedly to selling Sancho in the summer. If that right bid came in, which reportedly was around 50, I think he would have gone. So it might be, I tell you what, Flex, would he put it past like a Chelsea putting an offer in?
No, I wouldn't. And if that's happened, then more fool them and him, because that won't help him. Regina says, Flex, your agenda against Sancho is actually shocking. You pretend you like him when you stand outside waiting for players. Now, again, I don't know if you know me. I don't know if you watch the channel regularly. I do like Jadon Sancho, and that's why I'm pissed off that this has happened. But in the interest of not having an agenda, which clearly I don't think you understand the meaning of the word, but just because I like him and he comes and says hello and I will get on well with him in the moment, I ain't just going to turn a blind eye to what's happening here. It's wrong. Wrong is wrong. So, forgive me for wanting standards at the club. I don't know if your agenda is to just keep players in control and keep making us stink out the place and no one be in control of it. But just because I've said hello to someone and I get on with them in that moment and they have time to come and say hello, that doesn't mean that now this has happened, I'm just going to be like, oh, well, he's done nothing wrong. I think it's called. Yeah. I think that's actually called an agenda.
That's why it's always important to be fair with stuff like this, right? I've always said it myself, and I don't see the players like you do or anything like that. But I think the best thing to do with anything like this is always to say things that you'd be comfortable saying to their face. I think if I bumped into Jadon Sancho in the street and shook his hand and said, nice to meet you, whatever, I wouldn't have any problem by saying, I don't know about this, mate. I think the manager's right, in my opinion. That's why it's important not to overstep that line and be like, you're a lazy so-and-so, you're a this, you're a that, you're a the other, because people wouldn't say that to their face. And when they say they would, they're lying. They would.
Yeah, exactly. Zaki says, we said that one. D-Train says, clubs are reluctant to sack a player. Lots of players have done a madness, but the club usually gets around them. Being exiled is the best United can do. Yeah, you can't. Obviously, there's contracts there and stuff. You can't just go, you're never coming in ever again. Obviously, there are bigger, if you do something nuts, you can get your contract ripped up. But I think having an argument with the manager.
They wouldn't terminate Jadon Sancho's contract. 350k a week, they'd have to pay off for however many weeks. They didn't do it with Eric Bailly, let alone Jadon Sancho.
Exactly.
No chance.
So it's just too much of an asset there. You need to get him. you need to wait it out, and you need to get a resolution where you get some money for him, and then that can, like you said, pay him out. But it is game day today. Smash a like on the video. Nearly 1,800 people watching, and not 200 likes. Got 186 likes. So.
You've got an agenda on the likes, folks. You're a disgrace, you people. I'm telling you, it's awful. You're being nice in the comments and not on the like button. You're fake.
Yes,
Flex.
exactly.
Your agenda is insane. Your agenda is
Honestly.
insane. I'll tell you what is an insane agenda. Referees and VAR against Manchester United. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. Flex, I was furious. I was absolutely furious on social media. Why? Dermot bloody Gallagher. And he's from near the same place that I'm from, actually. And I thought you're bringing shame to the region, Dermot. Because he goes he's going on Sky Sports, right? So yesterday he goes, the penalty in the North London derby goes, correct decision. That was the right decision. It was a penalty. Back in August, there was the ref watch on Sky Sports News again. The one with Garnacho, Romero, same player, same handball. He goes, correct decision not to give the penalty. And then Stephen Warnock says to him, he goes, so what's the difference between those two decisions? And he don't even answer it. He just goes, well, I just thought, when I saw the replay and his arm out, I just thought the referee's always going to give it. Just didn't answer it. Just didn't answer it. Dermot Sunak. I couldn't believe it. Because they know it's bullshit. I was furious.
Yeah, no, it's when I was tweeting the same thing during that Arsenal game, and I'm like, even when they started doing the check, I said, if they give this, it's a disgrace. You know what I mean? Like, it's typical, absolutely typical. It's no different. If anything, ours was probably more of one. But it's, look, the only way forward for them now is to start consistently getting it right, where the sample size increases of the correct decisions. So like you said, Owen, why do we have to be the guinea pig? We're essentially the one where they went, we should have given a penalty there. If that happens again under our new rules, we have to give pens for that. Am I frozen? Yeah. I'm back now. We have to give pens for that. So, all right, because we should have got a pen the last time. So you're now saying to us that you're giving a pen. And like you said, the problem is, tonight in the Carabao Cup or where, against Palace on the weekend or something else will happen like that and they won't give it. The same way, again, if they're looking at consistency, you look at the Rodri one where he's put his hands there for like half a second and quickly taken it back. And it's a Casemiro one, isn't it? It's
Gabriel Bonlahoy went crazy, didn't he? He went crazy. When Casemiro did it, goes, who does he think he is? Brock Lesnar in the UFC. Yeah. And then he says it on the other one, I think it was on Gibbs White's play. He goes, no, Gibbs White's rolling around on the floor. I thought, you son of a bitch, okay? Because you know what you're doing.
Owen!
I was furious because it's obvious now. You know what I mean? They're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, of course. No, but listen, if you speak to Gabby, listen, I know him, right? And he will tell you, yeah, I know, I'm winding you, I'm doing it. I want to wind you lot up. I just ignore him because I know this is what he does.
But it's not even just Gabby anymore. It's everyone.
Yeah. It's
they're everyone.
On it. They're on it. It's always the main.
Tim Sherwood going on. Eric Ten Hag hasn't improved any players. You've got it where it's, I don't know. Now Dermot Gallagher coming on. They're both the right decisions. What? Yeah, one's not a penalty and one's different. What are you talking about?
Stupid. There's a reason why Tim Sherwood don't manage no more and flipping was a shit manager as well. Yeah. Like, you don't, people like that. I just think when I see them, someone sent me the Craig Burley thing, said, didn't even listen. I just saw a caption of it that Ten Hag is the most deluded manager, where I just kept scrolling. I don't even entertain it, because that's what you said. They are literally trying their hardest to tear us down. They want us to keep being shit. They want us to keep flopping. They want us to go through another pain and suffering with another manager and sack him and be back to square one again. And listen, we know inside what the problems are. And when people speak on the problems, fair enough. Speak about the problems that actually are the problems. No qualms with that. There are things that we'll say every day on this show. But when you start saying mad stuff just for the effect, I ain't going to sit and listen.
But the concerning thing is, Flex, with it is that we say that, but like you said, those people in the media, they know what they're doing. The real concerning one is, it's the referees, because that's actually affecting our games, actually affecting our performances. And I mentioned this on social media the other day. It's not even the fact that I'm debating about maybe some of the goals that got disallowed, because they look like some of them were the right decision. But this is where I do sympathize with Ten Hag, because he goes like, things ain't going our way, and there's double standards. There's no consistency. And I thought the
No.
whole point with VAR is you've got second, third, fourth, fifth looks at things to get things right, to be consistent. When the one happened in the North London derby, I messaged Joe and Penn because I don't even know anymore. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's
no, I knew it was gonna be a pen. According to their rules, that's that's a pen. But also, where we've been unlucky is that we, like you said, have been the guinea pig for the new ones becoming the correct decisions. Also, so with the Johnny Evans one where he scored and Hoyland's in the way, they literally gave that when Ake done it, and I think Akanji was standing in the way. But they've gone, can't give them. We've got to make sure when that next happens again, we can't give it. But it's us.
Like even in Nketiah, that one on the goalkeeper. If that's Casemiro, that is genuinely a red card. They'll go red card.
Yeah, and actually, I think that was just below a red card. To be fair, it was reckless, but his studs didn't hit, but his kind of legs hit.
Yeah, but that is when you go. If it was Casemiro, he would get a red.
Yeah, maybe even Bruno. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but it is match day.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of just derailed that completely. Yeah, apologies.
Let us get back to it.
Sorry,
I know you're angry.
Sorry,
not angry, Owen. Where was I? Yes, Amrabat is potentially starting tonight, and a Mason Mount return as well. And how do you see these two games? Obviously, I did a preview yesterday with Jay Knox. Does a lot of work with Palace. He's their official DJ as well, matchday DJ. Good friend of mine. Known him for a good few years now. And he was saying it's a good time to play United. He was giving it, obviously. But in terms of we got to play them back to back, rotation versus a really, really strong team obviously needs to be in place for Saturday against them in the league. What are you saying with this?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, Flex? I spoke about this yesterday morning. And a lot of people, I think, are expecting a lot of rotation. I think there'll be some. I think there'll be less than people think. Because my theory is, and I'm not saying this is the right thing to do or anything like that, but my theory is that Erik ten Hag will want momentum. My theory is that Erik ten Hag will be looking to do what we did after the World Cup last year, which was a run of fairly, I'm not saying this is easy, but a winnable cup games and league games. And by the end of it, we were very confident and we played City at home. We beat them. Even going to Arsenal at the Emirates, really at the end of that run, and going into really the Barcelona games in February, that was all based upon after the World Cup winning all of those games in a row. We went on a long run of winning games against sides like I mentioned, like Burnley at home, like Reading at home, Charlton at home. I didn't even know Palace weren't involved in that. We did play Palace at home during that longer time. But the point being is, I don't think he will rotate that much. I think there'll be some players that come in, like you said, maybe Amrabat will start, maybe Mason Mount might start. I still say that I think Marcus Rashford is going to start. And I know people will say, take him out of the team, he's playing rubbish. I think that's the very reason he's going to start, is because he's playing rubbish, basically, out of hope that if he gets some goals in this one, it'll build up his confidence. Because that was the same thing with Rashford towards the end of after the World Cup as well last season. He was in decent form anyway, but then coming out of that World Cup, he played in all of those games. He started scoring all of those goals. The first one back was that Burnley game, and he scored, even before he started doing the head point. And after that, then we played. That's like around the time of Wolves and all that kind of stuff. And he was scoring. And I think he might do that tonight. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. But on the flip side, look, Palace, they've got no need to rotate. They're safe this season. They're not going down.
Yeah. No, well, not just that, but Jay Knox said that, to be fair, from a Palace perspective, it isn't even that they would choose to, because their squad's just not that strong, not that deep. He goes, who we've got, he goes, the same team that starts on Tuesday will probably start, to be fair, on Saturday, but maybe one or two. Said Elise is still injured.
Hamstring thing.
Yeah, and obviously Eze, Edouard, etc. So, probably Schlopp, Decore, etc. So, and Ayew. I don't think there's much past that. Do you know what I mean? Gay came back already, so I said that's strong. Anderson, you know what I mean? Mitchell, Tariq Mitchell. They haven't really, but I did remind me, Dean Henderson. I forgot.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. And I said, has he played yet? Has he been injured? He goes, no, Sam Johnson just hasn't really done anything wrong. So he's just, like, what, interesting. He's gone there to be a number two. Don't tell KG. But then I was thinking, if it's Carabao Cup as well, to mix it up a bit, you would play Dean Henderson. It's at Old Trafford as well.
Yeah.
Mate, KG is going to be... KG's on the match view later on. If he sees that Dean Henderson's starting this game, he is going to be on one. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, it's the first time, isn't it? It's the first time. Because obviously at the Forest thing, he couldn't play because he was, because of a parent club. So it'll be the first time.
Sheffield United,
he did play. Did he play?
Did he play against us?
I'm not sure.
In COVID.
United are weird sometimes with loans.
Yeah,
you never know. I'll have a look.
If he did. Yeah, I'm not sure if he did. But yeah, I think from our perspective, Sofian Amrabat, this is the perfect chance to start him. Perfect chance to start him. Not even necessarily have to play 90 minutes. Obviously, he's coming back from an injury himself, so it'll be good for him to get a good 60 minutes under his belt. And then it'll be interesting to see what Erik ten Hag's plan is for him, like in terms of starting Premier League games. Does he want him to start next to Casemiro? Does he want to give Casemiro a little rest for a bit? I can't see that happening, because I think once Erik ten Hag starts to not use Casemiro anymore, I think that will start to show his cards. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll always still play Casemiro where possible. Might take him off in games, but I think he'll always start him as the main guy. But it'd be interesting to see, if Amrabat starts today, how long does he play? And then does that, can he get in the start again for Palace in the Premier League game, the more important game? So I want to see that. And Mason Mount, obviously, he's going to need minutes in his legs as well. So I think it would be good for him to start, if he's able to, hopefully he'll be able to. I don't know if because he wasn't even on the bench against Burnley. So maybe he might only be fit enough for the bench. But he was on social media as well, said ready for tomorrow. So he's going to be there, definitely. So hopefully he can get a start. But if he's not fit enough to, then yeah, it's good that he's back too.
Yeah, I think the Mason Mount one's quite interesting, isn't it? Because heading into the weekend, thought I'll be on the bench, and he wasn't obviously in the squad at all. So clearly they're taking it very, very, being very cautious with him. And it's good to have players back, isn't it? I mean, we're so light.
Slowly,
we're so light. And you do get the impression maybe a little bit that particularly people like Mount and maybe some others, Ten Hag is like, look, our injury crisis is so bad, we can't extend this. So we really can't rush them back. We've got to resist the urge to be like, we need players so badly that we just throw them in because we can't lose them for the future, basically. So I think Amrabat probably more likely to start. To be honest, I really don't want to see him ever at fullback again. I know that Ten Hag said that, in one of his press conferences, and he said, "Oh, Amrabat, he can play fullback." But when he came on, he looked like he was like, "Let's just get through the rest of the game." You know what I mean?
And you would be having to play like 6 minutes, and then the winger's been at it all game, and you've got to do a one-on-one.
And his first competitive game of football since the Europa Conference League final, which was a lifetime ago, and I think maybe he played. I think it was one. And I think he played one like friendly with Fiorentina, and then that was about it, really. So
he's going to need a while to get some match rhythm.
Yeah, he hadn't played football for quite some time. So I didn't. Flex. Well, you vanished, then came back. Look at that. I don't know.
I just saw that.
Look at you. And now you're all. You'll come back. You'll come back.
Weird.
Yeah. It was quite dramatic, actually. Nevertheless, like I said, I think he hopefully will start tonight because he just needs game time. And when he came on at the weekend, one of the commentators said that. They said, "Oh, it's his first game since the Europa Conference League final." I went, "That is a long time ago." So he needs the game time because he's going to be important. He's going to be really, really important.
What do you think his Ten Hag's plan is like for him now? He's here and he's in and he's fit and going to build up his fitness. Do you see him just kind of coming in for games like off the bench in the Prem, or do you think he'll start as soon as he's fit enough, he'll start starting, help us get control of the games because that's what Ten Hag has to plan with this player, or is it more help with Casemiro if he's a bit off it, but he really wants it to be Bruno Mount? What's going to be, or is Mount going to go on the right-hand side for now because we're not going to have any right wingers anytime soon, so when he's fit, he can go back there, but then Bruno comes back to the 10. Then you've got Casemiro, Amrabat. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know.
I think it'll be that.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's interesting when he said in the press conference that you were in the other day, and he was saying, since I've been here, I've not been able to play my strongest starting 11. And it led to a lot of people talking, well, what is his strongest starting 11? Does he know? If he hasn't played it, does he actually know what's his ideal 11 in his brain that he would like to put down on paper?
Well, he could have been being pedantic, though, because last year, his ideal 11 would have had Martial in it every game.
Yeah, and he couldn't.
He couldn't. So really, because other than that, it was always Luke Shaw. Dalot and Wan-Bissaka, especially after the World Cup, they were both fit. It was just that it was Wan-Bissaka who was the guy.
Yeah.
Martinez and Varane for large chunks was his first choice.
Yeah.
Bruno Eriksen, Casemiro. You could tell he wanted to get rid of Fred and McTominay and move on from that. And Donny van de Beek weren't it, so that was his first choice. Rashford was his first choice.
Yeah.
And Anthony was his first choice. So really, he means that, look, all last year I didn't even have a striker.
Yeah.
He has to have meant that.
But now, what's his strongest starting 11?
Now we won't know because he's made these signings and they've all been injured.
Yeah, exactly.
and then all the other injuries on top of that. So we won't know.
That's when like an Amrabat is an interesting one because you go, is in Ten Hag's mind, is he part of that strongest starting 11, or is he a utility player that can slot in here and there? Like, is he the strongest? I don't know. Maybe Ten Hag doesn't know. Maybe he's trying to figure that out. I think that when Mason Mount's back, I don't think he's going to be really near the midfield, to be honest. I think he's slotted for that right wing position, given how things are at the moment. I think we've spoken about, obviously, Facundo, but I think the game at the weekend was actually evidence that Bruno's there for the time being, and then when Mount's back, Mount's going to go there and Bruno's going to go in the middle.
So
however, Hannibal
was the difference.
I think he covered like something like the most distance, and I think he created something like the most XG or something like that. There were some quite good statistics on him, and maybe Ten Hag will look at that. Maybe we'll say, actually, we've got something.
He like his energy. He like his energy. I think it'd be good it would be great if Hannibal could start again. But one thing, especially because you probably won't start in the Premier League game, but or definitely get some minutes. So say Amrabat gets his start, then I think you probably take Amrabat off and bring Hannibal on, maybe. Because let's face it, Bruno's going to play. He plays every game. He's the captain. Actually, let's go predicted lineup. Owen. Yeah, because it's interesting with the centre backs. Very interesting.
Yes.
Let's go. Do you think Bayern Deer will get a game today?
Yes. I do think he will, and he should, because you've got
we need to have a look at him.
You've got to prepare for the future, because Onana's not going to be here in January for potentially like 5 weeks, something like that.
And you don't want his first game to be what he's played to be straight in against bloody whoever it is at the time.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Yep. Where you go, right back. Well, full back we ain't got nothing else, have we? We've got Dalot and
it'll be Dalot.
It'll be Dalot and Reguilon. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Wow.
Who else can play left back?
Well, I don't know. This is what I'm saying about Reguilon. Is like, do we have an update on his status at the moment? I mean, because they said illness, and they said, I think there was something about, was it that Insider United account said something about he went for a scan. It's not believed to be serious. And but
caution, because obviously he's our only left back, so you're gonna have to protect him properly.
But it might be like, well, we need him for the weekend as opposed to.
Could we see? I mean, we need Dallow's gonna have to play loads. Maybe Dallow has to go left back. Maybe
I tell you what. I think the back four will be. Let me tell you, Flex. Right, this is my prediction. Dallow right back. I think the centre backs will be Raphael Varane and Johnny Evans. I think at left back might be Victor Lindelof. Or Dallow at left back, Lindelof right back. Dallow
I don't think Varane starts. You can't play Varane, man. Because Varane, we need him for the weekend. And if you play him now after coming back from injury, he ain't gonna be able to play tonight. And then
what about Maguire? Maguire might be back. If Maguire's back,
I think Maguire. He was in training, sprinting around. I think he'll start. I think he'll be Maguire and Evans. And then if Evans can't do the whole game, because obviously he's getting on a bit. But if Evans can't do the whole game, then they bring on Varane.
So you're going with so Dallow's still at left back and Lindelof right back. I'm
back forward at Flex. Wait there, nah, he won't want to. If Reguilon can play though, I think he'll just play him. He looks durable.
But if you've twinged a hamstring, you go, it's not a big deal. It's fine. You don't play him a few days later because he'll go.
No.
He said
Amrabat can bloody play fullback. Maybe it might be.
Maybe it might be.
It's really hard to predict the back four because they've all got different situations going on. Johnny Evans is getting on a bit. He's played a few days ago. He's on cloud 9. You're going to ask him to play tonight, and then, well, he might not be needed for the weekend, so you might run him into the ground and then go right back to Varane and Lindelof. But Lindelof's playing an awful lot of games, but he's all right though. He can do that. He can do that easy. He can do Tuesday, Saturday easy.
Is there no like youngsters we got that you might just throw in? They're all out on loan. This would be the ideal time to have Alvaro Fernandez, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
It would have been the ideal time. But then also, before the season, you don't go, why do we need 4 left backs?
Yeah, you wouldn't do that. Exactly. You just got to make it work. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Lindelof. I think Reguilon will play. I'm gonna go Reguilon, Lindelof, Maguire, And right back, Dallo.
I'm going to go with Lindelof at right back, Maguire, Evans, and Dallo left back. That's not like the team I would want, by the way.
Yeah,
So I
but you
understand
just
that
think
back
that's
four
what
is
it'll
shocking,
be.
but I think that's what it might be.
Okay. Midfield, I'm going to go Amrabat to start. I'm going to go Amrabat, Bruno, Hannibal. I think Casemiro gets a rest.
What other options have we got? Not many.
McTominay.
Wow.
Donny van der Beek's there now.
Donny could play.
Yeah, he might come off the bench. I think he'll come off the bench. Eriksen.
But then again, I don't think he'll make too many. With that back four, I think
Against
definitely.
Palace at home, though, he could play Eriksen.
But I think against that, with that back four, he definitely won't make a lot of changes because he'll be like, we need. So I think maybe Amrabat, Eriksen, Bruno, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm with that. Okay. You think Rashford starts?
Yes.
I think Garnacho starts. I think it'll be Garnacho, Martial, Pellistri. Or if Mount can start and then have to come off, he'll start on the right.
I think Rashford, Martial, and Facundo.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Did I say Mason Mount?
You didn't say Mason Mount. You think he'll be on the bench?
Yes.
I think he'll be on the bench.
Yes.
Because he wasn't even on the bench from the last game, so you don't just go from that to starting. Unless he was really close to actually being part of the Burnley thing, and then they just went, "Nah, I tell you what, just start on Tuesday."
One thing is for sure that, like, you know, sometimes we do those predicted 11, and the graphics will come out on social media. Be sure to follow us at United View TV. Sometimes they're very easy to do, and sometimes we don't even bother doing them because it's like, wow, it's going to be the same team. Yeah. This one, it's really hard. Really hard.
It is really hard. There you go. Well, join the guys in the studio for the match view. That'll be live at 7:30 p.m.
Super chats, Fleck.
Oh yes. Let me get to those. Actually, I forgot there was some more. Oh, there's two more. Corey says, Flex, you need to educate Owen before he embarrasses himself. He thinks a Dutty Gal is something from a food menu. I don't think he does. He doesn't think.
I said the other day. Someone said it to me, and I went.
You did.
I said, I've been doing my research, Flex, and I think I now know what it is. I think it's some kind of sort of foreign dish. I said.
Was you being serious? Is that what you think it is?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. Good.
No,
yeah.
But you know,
good. Big up to both. Big up to both of you. There you go, Corey. That saves your frustration.
But I still don't genuinely properly. I know it's bad. I know it's bad.
It's not the best. It's not the best.
No.
It could be the same for a Dutty boy as well. You know what I mean? Same thing. Yeah. It's not just exclusive to women. It's Dutty anything. Game Fanatic says.
That's not a dish.
It's not.
Okay.
A dish. Please, Donny, play maybe. I'm on the hopium and copium, but I want my Donny van der Beek redemption arc. Big up to Fleck fist bumping the players. Lucky charm. Oh, thank you. No one's ever said that to me before.
You go, Fleck.
So it's the opposite. Yeah. So I appreciate you, Game Fanatic. But more importantly, Game Fanatic saying, listen, he's still got hope, or she's still got hope of a redemption arc for Donny.
Yeah.
Do you, Owen? How do you?
No,
what do you think?
I don't think.
Agenda.
I think. Look, he's here, and in an injury crisis, he might get games, I suppose. But as a long-term future, no.
Yeah, it's a long-term future.
Is it?
Thank you for watching. 338 likes on the way out. On the way out, if we could just hit the like on the way out, that'd be great. And good support for the channel. Hit subscribe if you haven't done it as well. Recently, by the way, subscribers, we have been absolutely flying. Well on our way to 155 at the moment.
Yes.
We only hit 150 not long ago. So well done to the whole community. And well done for everybody who's new here, who's only just found the United View in the last couple of weeks or so, because there's definitely been an influx of subs. So welcome anybody new. Smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, if you're new, you can join a membership if you would like to as well. That is you can see it there in the tab below.
You can call in. Membership. You can chat to me later on.
Exactly. Full-time view is one of your exclusive membership perks. You can call in from wherever you are in the world and have your say after the game. And obviously, we'll have reaction from Old Trafford as well. So take care, guys. See you again soon. Peace.